Hope everyone is doing good this Friday. Welcome to Embroidery Happy Hour. I hope you can see and hear me okay. I know I'm a little bit on the dark side and stuff. I don't have the extra lighting going on. I didn't have a lot of time to set up, but that's okay. I'm here, and I'm sure you guys will let me know on the chat if you can't see or hear me. Okay, so hope everybody is doing good. And for those of you who are new, hi, I'm Jeanette from Boricua Sewing and Crafts. And welcome to Embroidery Happy Hour. And this is the hour where I like to share certain topics with other embroiderers out there or people that just like to do embroidery so that we can help and learn and teach each other. Okay. So usually for those guys that are new, I just want you guys to know the first hour of the show, I talk about the topic. And then what I do is I like to go to the chat. I like to say hi to everybody and answer any questions and share any comments that anybody has. So this week, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be talking about the toughest items that you will be embroidering. Okay, now the reason why I picked this topic, and I want to share this with you, is because a lot of times what happens is folks that are new into embroidery and they start doing machine embroidery, at first, you start to, kind of learn the process, learn what embroidery is, how to do it, different types of materials, different types of stabilizers, threads, and all that kind of stuff. But then what happens is you want to embroider on different items, right? So some items can be very easy to embroider on, and some can be pretty tricky. So if you don't know what you're doing, you can actually ruin the product, okay? So I wanted to talk about some of the sticky items that people usually have the problems with. And I have 10 that I have listed in here. And I also want to talk about what it is that people have issues with, and not just what they have issues with, but also like, oops, drop my paper. I'll be right back. Hold on. What can you do to help resolve some of these things? Okay. Because as you guys know, it is really important that when you embroider, you are embroidering quality embroidery. Okay. Sometimes a lot of people say it's all about the machine. It can be. Machine is part of it, but it's not the whole thing. Okay. You got to know what you're doing. You have to understand your machine. You got to know your machine. You got to love that machine. And you also got to know what it is that you're doing, what material you're working with, and what is it that you have to do to make sure you make that embroidery pop and spark, okay? So let's talk about the first thing, all right? And if you guys have an item, okay, you guys that are watching out there have an item that you find like the most toughest, the one that people ask you to embroider, and you're like, I don't like embroidering that. You know what I'm saying? You try to shy away from it and stuff. Put it in the chat below and share it, because it may not be one of the 10 that I have on my list, okay? So the first thing that I have put on my list was hats. Okay, hats. And I'm talking about structured hats, baseball hats, caps. That can be pretty difficult, okay? Can you embroider it? Absolutely. You see people walking around with embroidered hats all the time, all right? But it is not easy to do. Okay, you have no idea the amount of hats that I have purchased and threw out when I started to do embroidery of hats. Now, I'm going to tell you, to this day, it is not my favorite thing. It really, truly is not. I will do it for friends, families as gifts. And I only give it to them if it comes out right. Because if it looks all jacked up, they're not wearing it. Because they're not going to go around and say, oh, Jeanette did this. And then it looks all funky. You know what I mean? So, no. So hats is very, 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 very tricky. The reason why I find it tricky, and people can have other reasons for it, is, first of all, you got to know really how to truly hoop that hat. Now, depending on the machine that you have, that will determine the type of technique you use to actually hoop that hat for embroidery. I know I use the Brother machines. I have 3 different types of hat hoops. Okay, I have the regular hat hoop, the traditional one. Then I got the brim, and then I also got the wide frame. Each of those, no matter what, you have to know how to hoop your hat, okay? And one of the biggest mistakes that some people do is that they don't use stabilizer when they are embroidering their hats. Because sometimes they figure it's a hat, it's structured, it's hard. Why do I need the stabilizer? You really should put the stabilizer on there. Honestly, you really should. Okay. You can take your chances and not do it, but you really need it because you got to remember the purpose of the stabilizer is to stable your stitches, to provide that stability. Okay. A lot of times people do wash their hats. They throw them in the washing machine. They put them in the dryer. You want to make sure that when they have that hat, and if they do wash it or they care for it in some kind of way, that the embroidery is going to last. You do not want that embroidery to be like a one-time show. All right. Because that's going to piss off the customer and it's not going to look good for you. Okay. So, embroidery hats can be pretty tricky. Now, sometimes people come out and they say, well, Jeanette, can you go ahead and embroider a hat on a flatbed single needle machine? Absolutely. I have done it. However, once again, there's different techniques on doing it on a flatbed machine. They do have third-party hat hoops. Okay. I can show you one that I have here. Let me take it out so you can show. This one that I have actually is my favorite, okay? However, they don't sell them anymore. Why they don't sell them anymore? I got to tell you, I don't know why, because to me, it's a really good hat hoop. It serves its purpose. It works. But there are others out there. I think they're a little bit more on the high side. So, it just depends. So this is the one that I bought, and I use this on my 5x7 hoop on my single needle machine. This is when I first started out. I wanted to do some hats, and I use this hat hoop. And what it is that you open this flap up, and then you put the I don't know what you call it, the bill or whatever, the part that sticks out, okay, in a hat. And it goes into this little flap right here. And then you just flatten the hat out. Now, as you know, there are two types of hat. You have the structured and you have the unstructured. The unstructured hats are usually, to me, the easiest to embroider because they're soft, right? They're soft. They're easier to maneuver and stuff. The structured hats are pretty tricky. And a lot of times you're going to see like other machine embroiderists, like they hate the Richardson hats. A lot of customers love them, but a lot of embroiderers hate them because sometimes they don't work well with embroidery machines. It takes practice, okay? You really have to know how to hoop those hats, and you got to know, how that design is really going to lay on that hat in order for it to embroider. So it can be like really super tricky, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. Me personally, I don't touch it. I don't touch it. As for the soft hats that are, they're not structured and stuff, those I'll do. But a lot of times what I do is I will be the one that supplies the hats. I don't let the customers go ahead and provide me the hats unless they can tell me exactly where they purchased those hats. And the reason why I do that is because if I ruin it, I fix it, okay? I replace the item. It's my fault. I'm the one that hit that machine. Okay, those machine buttons on the machine. It's not the customer's fault. It's mine. So usually, what I will do is I will replace the item if I ruin it. And I already know the way I am with the hats. It's an iffy thing. So I prefer to have 10 hats, and if the first one rocks and rolls and does well, awesome. I'll just return the other 9 because I don't need them. But if it doesn't work out, I got hat number 2, number 3, number 4, and I'll just keep going until I can actually get it right. Or I'll just tell the customer, I can't do this. Okay. So, there's two types of hats. Like I said, you got the structured, you got the unstructured. Then you also have hats that have the different sections, right? You have some that are 6, 4, and then you have 2. And what it is sometimes a hat, man, I wish I had one handy with me. I have it in the other room. I should have bought one, but sometimes you'll have a baseball hat that will have a crease right smack in the middle. Okay. That can sometimes be a little tricky to embroider because if the needle hits right smack in the middle, you want to make sure that the design is going to come out nice and flush. Okay. A lot of times, this is what people do. They embroider patches, and then what they do is they heat press the patch to the hat, and then they sew the outline of the patch to the hat. Okay. That is something that I notice a lot of people are doing. They're staying away from embroidering the hat itself because it can really be it can be challenging. I'm telling you, it can be pretty challenging. Now, there are people out there, I'm not going to say that it's impossible because it's not. There are a lot of people out there that do nothing but hats. They love hats. They understand it. They know how to hoop those hats like the back of their hands. And I'm going to tell you, my hat is off to them because that means that's a skill set on its own right there. It's not a skill set that I know I personally have on myself. Okay. So it's just something that I don't have. And you are right, Miss McFate. Jeanette was putting in an application for Liz since she's now retired. She only needs to stay 2 weeks. You know what? And remember, guys, you guys that were watching, remember, I had said at one time, I want to get a job at Liz. And don't think I haven't been looking, okay? Because I have been going to their website and I'd be looking to see if they are hiring at the Liz that lives by me. I've seen some openings, but the thing is, they're not in any malls that are real close by. But if I see one, okay, yes, McVeigh, I am going to be applying for that because I would love to be able to master the embroidery of lids, of hats. I am telling you. I mean, I would love that because to me, that's the perfect setting because I will have someone, that's all they sell. They sell hats. That's all they sell. And they do the 3D embroidery with all the designs and all that kind of stuff, the mixture. I mean, I would love it. I mean, seriously, I would. And I don't even think I would last 2 weeks, fake McFay. I'd probably be there about good. Maybe I'll do another retirement with them. I don't know. I could retire from them. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so hats, very tricky, guys. Very tricky. Very tricky. So, and let me see. It says something about the curved surface. There are going to be some designs that you can't just take a regular embroidery design and go ahead and embroider on a hat. Sometimes you got to work with the digitizer. You got to tell them the type of hat style that you're using and everything so that they understand how that hat curves so that they can digitize it to that hat. Okay. And also, it is thick, the thick seams and, placement issues, sometimes, depending on the driver that you have and the hat hoop that you have, sometimes the placement of that logo on the hat, I hear it all the time where people kind of like the embroidery be very close to the brim of the hat. Okay. And sometimes your machine won't allow that because, the lid might hit the machine or something like that, So, it can be really tricky. It really truly can be really tricky. To me, I always tell people embroidering hats is a skill in itself. Okay. You master that, you're good. Okay. You are really good. I have not done enough hats, honestly, because I have been so busy doing the custom embroidery and stuff like that doing the hats, I haven't had the proper practice that I have. That's why me getting a job at Lids, oh, that would be wonderful. Right there, I know I would rock it. And I would be like, okay, I am a hat girl now. So, but yeah, hats. All right, so let's talk about the second thing. Leather. Okay, leather is unforgiving. Very unforgiving. All right. There are different types of leather too. They come in different types of thickness and different types of feel. Some is very soft, some is very thick, hard. All right. You got to know how to embroider on that material. Very unforgiving. Once you pop a hole into that leather, that hole is there to stay. Okay. It is not something that is going to go away. The hole is there. It's not like cotton. Okay, where these fibers and stuff, the way the threads are, they can move and it can heal itself. When you are embroidering on leather and vinyl and stuff like that, you pop that hole, you're done. That hole is there forever. Okay, so you really got to make sure that you understand how to embroider on leather, and you have to have that confidence. So before I do leather, which I have done leather bags. Okay, now I haven't touched any Louis Vuittons or anything like that, even though people have asked me, and I'm like, no, okay, I'm not touching those. But I have had people come to me with leather backpacks and all that kind of stuff and everything. And usually what I will do is I will always test stitch a design for sure before I even put the leather product in there. And I will tell you, I'm pretty picky about the order that I take. Okay. A lot of times, if I'm doing leather, it's not going to be someone that I just met. Okay. It's got to be somebody that I consider a very close friend or something, because, first of all, leather is expensive, it is not cheap. And I always replace items that I mess up. So I don't have a problem replacing it. However, also, it depends on how much that item costs. So if it's like way over, okay, like $1,000 bag, $500 bag, I'll probably be like, I don't think so. But if it's a product that maybe it's like $60, $65, something like that, I'll take the risk, okay, and then I'll do it and stuff. But it just really depends, okay. So leather, very unforgiving fabric, all right. So just be very careful when you accept orders from customers regarding that type of material, because it's not something that you can correct. All right. The only thing that I could say, though, that you can do to correct an item is, let's say that somebody wants a monogram, or on their initials on a leather case, right? Or something small, like a little leather makeup case. They want their initials on it. So let's say that you screwed up and it didn't come out right and stuff like that. One thing that I tell people is create a patch, okay? Create a really nice patch with the initials and stuff. And what you do is you put it over the bad embroidery. That's how you can fix that. Okay. So, don't think that because, you took that bag and you did that, and then it got all screwed up, that you're just like hose. Sometimes there are ways you can fix your stuff. Okay. It may not be what the customer wanted initially, because I'm sure they just probably wanted their initials to be embroidered on the actual bag. But if a mistake happens, which it does, then, you could put a patch over it. And one of the things that I say is, in those situations, make sure you have that discussion with your customer. Okay. Make sure you talk to them, because this is the thing. People make mistakes. Mistakes happen. Okay. So you have to make sure you have that honest conversation with the customer. Let them know up front and say, hey, this is leather. It's unforgiving. Okay. So I believe I can do this, and this is how it'll look. But let's talk about what are we going to do if something goes bad? All right. What is going to happen? All right. How can I fix this? Would it be all right if I create a patch and I put that over the bad embroidery? This is what the patch will look like. Are you happy with this patch? Because this is the thing. Don't let the customer just come out and go, okay, you can do a patch. It's no problem. But then when you go and you do the patch, first of all, there's a lot of ways you can do a patch. You can do different designs in the outline and all that kind of stuff. You can make it really pretty, okay? And look and make it look really nice. However, though, you want to make sure that the alternative is something that the customer is going to be happy with, okay? If you feel really nervous about it and you feel that the customer might not be understanding or something like that, don't take the order, because I am telling you right now, the worst thing you want is to have that bad experience, because then they're going to feel some kind of way. You're going to feel some kind of way. You don't want to deal with that. Okay. So I'm just saying, be very, very careful with that. Okay. The other thing, okay, we're talking about, now I'm on number 3. All right, guys, terry cloth and towels. Very tricky to do. And I'm going to tell you why. There is a certain type of thickness to that material. Sometimes you can have a towel that doesn't have a lot of fluff on it. All right. That's not very thick. And you could be fine with that. Sometimes you can have material that has a lot of fluff. What you need to do is you need to have that conversation with the customer and let them know we really need to add knockdown stitches to this, because even though I can embroider on this and it will probably look nice when I take it off the machine, the moment you take that item and you wash it and you dry it, it's not going to look like this. Okay. You need to have the knockdown stitches. Also, when you are embroidering that type of material, you need to really pay attention to the type of fonts that you are using. Okay. Do not use any type of fonts. And I'm telling you this because you really need to know that. Fonts that are very, very thin will definitely sink into the material. Okay. Especially after a wash. All right. I know you're going to use the soluble topper, the WSS topper on the towel. Got that. But you got to remember that is water soluble. That means that when the customer takes that towel and puts it in the washing machine, it's going to dissolve. The stabilizer is not going to give that thread that lift anymore. It's not going to be there anymore, which is why I highly recommend the knockdown stitches. The knockdown stitches are there forever. Water soluble stabilizer, not. It goes away, just like tearaway stabilizer. Once it goes into the washing machine and the dryer, that stabilizer is gone. The stitches don't have that stability anymore. So think about the longevity of how these people are going to use the product. Okay. If they're spending money on this embroidery because they want something nice that's going to last for a long time, hopefully for the life of the product itself. But if you see that, you're just going to have problems, because what's going to happen is the embroidery is always going to look nice when it comes out of the machine, but people really don't think about how people are going to use the item. And that's really, really what counts. So you got to be really, really careful about that. Okay. Now, let's also talk about number 4. Okay. We're going to talk about the thin, stretchy fabrics like silk, jerseys, t-shirts, and all that kind of stuff and everything like that. This can be tricky as well. I know a lot of people, they go out there and they do embroidery on the logo shirts and all that kind of stuff and everything. Those to me are not very difficult if you know what you're doing, though. I always tell people, pay attention to the fabric. You have to pay attention to the fabric. The fabric is going to dictate to you the type of designs you can use, the type of stabilizer you can use, the needle size, and even the weight of the thread, and even the design itself. Okay. That is going to dictate a lot to you. A lot of times when people are dealing with stretchy fabrics like t-shirts and all that kind of stuff, or things like satin stitches and all that kind of stuff, they always end up with trouble with puckering. And the reason why is because you're not using the right amount of stabilizer to make sure that the name or whatever it is that you embroider has the stability along with the fabric. The other thing that I notice is people are not taking the time to go ahead and hoop these items correctly. I always tell people, whenever I'm teaching folks embroidery and stuff, I tell them, if you are not going to take the time ahead to do the homework, to look at that material and do the homework of what needle should I use, what thread should I use, what stabilizer, and most importantly, hooping the item. That is not the time to rush. Okay. If you're in a rush, don't do it. Do yourself a favor, close the room, go watch a movie or go do whatever it is that you need to do, and then come back to embroidery. And you need to focus. I mean, there have been lots of times, like for this week, I had twice that I messed up on embroidery, that someone had placed an order, from my Etsy shop, and talking with Fred, I picked the wrong thread color, and I was so mad at myself, and I was like, oh god, that's another blanket, down the toilet and everything, and he already kind of knows, because and he watches me, so he kind of sees it's, you got to really focus. And, you know, and he kind of knows. So I've already told him when I need to turn on these machines and I need to work on an order, I put my headphones on, I'm listening to classical music, and all I'm doing is I'm focusing on the work. I have to make sure that the names are spelled correctly, that I'm using the right stabilizer, that I'm using the right needle, that the item is hooped correctly. I don't take any chances. And if it takes me 5 hours to do that towel, it's going to take me 5 hours to do that towel. But you know what? At the end of the day, it got done right. Okay. So, you know, be very, very careful on the materials. Okay. And when you are dealing with thin fabric, fabric that's like satin, fabric that's like silk, understand that there is certain designs that won't work well with that type of material. Okay, you can get puckering, and once you get puckering, you're kind of like, eeh. And you know, a lot of times people come and say, oh, well, you just undo all the stitches. That's a lot of stitches. Okay, machine embroidery is very different. Okay, I mean, I tell people, yeah, you know, you can take a seam ripper, but you're going to be sitting there for a long time because you're talking about thousands of stitches. Okay, so if you ain't got nothing better to do, then I don't know. But to me, I can't. Okay, so you know, just something to think about. All right. Now the other thing, all right, is denim, okay, and very heavy canvas material. All right. When you are dealing with those types of fabrics, they're pretty tough. Okay. So what I usually do is I use a sharp needle on those type of materials. Okay. And I don't use cutaway, I use tearaway on those items as well. You know, the thing is too is that you can end up with a lot of needle breaks because the material's tough. Okay. And you know what? I need to take something back. I said I use a sharp needle. That's not true because I'm thinking and I'm like, wait a minute. No, I don't, because I did a jean jacket for myself. I used a ballpoint. What I did was I slowed down the machine a lot. Okay. I don't go fast. All right. Now, the one thing that I also tell people to keep in mind is not every design works for every fabric. All right. So you got to pay attention to that. If you have, like if I have denim is tough fabric. It's pretty rough. Okay. There's no stretch to it or anything like that. So I can do a dense design on denim. If I had stretchy material, right? Like a t-shirt and stuff like that, I don't recommend dense designs. I recommend that you take that dense design, talk to a digitizer, and see if you can convert that to an applique design. That will save you a lot of time, okay? And also, it's going to look a lot better, okay? And it's going to be a lot easier. So it's something that, you know, you should really think about, okay? And stuff. So, you know, that's the other thing too that I notice is a lot of times people they have to run these machines at full speed. And I'm like, where the hell are you going? You know, it's like you're supposed to enjoy this process, enjoy the process, slow down the machine. Okay. So when it comes to my denim, my jean jacket, I just slowed down the machine and it came out a lot better. Okay. The stuff. All right. So then I got number 6, which is sheer fabrics. I usually don't do a lot of sheer fabric, but I do want to show you guys something. It's right around the corner. Be right back. I want to show you guys something that I think you guys will see. All right. Let's talk about this, okay? Like this, sheer fabric, okay? This was something that I embroidered. And I want you guys to see something. This is netting, okay? This is net, okay? What this is actually this is stuff that, you know, it's like a basket that you could put in your washing machine and your dryer. So if you have something that's really like delicate or it's just small and you don't want it to get lost and stuff, These are little baskets, laundry baskets that I purchased. Now, I actually embroidered on these, and this is what I was using to wash my face mask when we had the pandemic. And I want to show you how I did this. Okay. So I'm going to show this right here. So if you look at it right here, what I did was I did knockdown stitches on this. And as you can see, the embroidery looks great on this. Okay. And it has gone through the wash several times. No issues. No issues at all. So if you can see, and let me put my hand in it. Maybe you can see it a little better if I put my hand in it. Okay, see, I put knockdown stitches. And as you can see, there is no puckering, none at all, no puckering. Nice, clean, crisp, great embroidery. It actually says dirty face masks. Okay, so that's what I did. You know, and I was using them, you know, when we had to have our own face mask before they did the disposable ones. So whenever we went outside, we had our face mask. Then when we came in, you know, I would have these, you know, downstairs, and everybody would throw in their face mask that they used that day and throw them in here. And then I would just take this and I would put it in the wash. And I did 2 of them, and they both come out nice, and they wash really well. And I did the knockdown stitches. So this is sheer. This is sheer. As you can see, it's netted. This is netted fabric. It's sheer. Okay. So this is what I'm talking about when I say you got to know your fabrics. Okay. You got to understand, and you have to know how you can embroider it. All right. If I just embroidered this and I didn't do the knockdown stitches, it might come out okay. However, though, I know for a fact I would probably have some puckering going on. Okay. And that would not have looked really good. So, you know, you have to be really, really careful on how, you know, how you choose to embroider certain types of materials. Okay. That's why I say it's really important that you got to learn that material. All right. So, okay, now we're going to number 7. I'm going kind of fast right now. I think am I rushing? I don't know. Okay. Small lettering and tiny details. You got to understand what type of weight thread you should use and when. And I think I've said it in the past, and I've even shown you guys examples of certain logos that I have worked on for certain companies where I have a mixture of different types of weight threads and needle sizes. And the small fonts, people really find the toughest. And a lot of times it's because they really don't understand how to do it. Okay. I usually say, when it comes to the small fonts, you have to make sure you have the right weight of thread, and you also have to make sure you have the right needle size. The one part where a lot of people screw up, I'm serious about this, is the speed of the machine. They just don't slow it down. I don't know why. They just keep embroidering it. They do the whole design 1,000 stitches per minute. Then when it gets to the section of the small fonts or the details, then all of a sudden it's like they want that to be 1,000 stitches per minute. And then they wonder why it kind of looks a little distorted or something like that. You got to let the machine take its time for those particular details. You got to remember it's details. So you want to make sure that it takes its time. When you start rushing it, that's when things start to look sloppy and all that kind of stuff. So you don't want that. So it's really important that when you have those small fonts, those are details, the details that you want them to be readable. Okay. You want them to look really good. The other thing that I noticed that a lot of people do is that they don't snip the jump stitches. Okay. There are going to be times when you are embroidering small fonts and you might have some jump stitches here and there. Buy the proper tools to cut those jump stitches. And I have some. Like, for instance, I have these, okay? These I use to cut my jump stitches, okay? They're very, very small and, you know, very, very sharp. And these work really great to get inside, okay? Because, and to cut the jump stitch. Now, why are these tools important? Okay. The reason why these tools are important is because remember, they're small fonts. So that means that jump stitch is very, very small. So sometimes it's very, very difficult to get to it. And if you were to go ahead and use a regular scissor, okay, like you could probably get away with using something like this. But this is the thing that I say. Be very careful about the fabric, because as you're trying to cut that jump stitch, you can accidentally cut the fabric itself. And once you cut that fabric, you're hosed. You're done. Okay, it's done. Right there, you got to have a conversation with somebody and say, would you prefer a patch? And the thing is, because you cut a hole in that fabric, you got to make sure you can repair that hole. Okay, so you might have to take out a sewing needle and thread and start to manually close that hole shut, because as time goes on, when they take that item and they go and they wash it and they dry it, that hole can get bigger and bigger. So it can become problematic. So, you know, you got to make sure you have the right tools in place. You got to make sure that you are slowing down that machine when it comes to the small fonts or the details of the design that you need them to pop and they're pretty small. Make sure that you slow down the machines in those sections, okay? Because then what happens is you could end up with a mess. It's not going to look right. It's not going to look fresh and everything. So you really want things to look good, okay? So, yeah, so small fonts and little tiny details, very challenging for a lot of people. People talk to me all the time. They say, you know, I can't get those small fonts right. I actually find that sometimes what it is that they're not slowing down that machine and they're not using the right weight thread or the right needle. Those are usually the three ingredients that work for me. And I find that those are really important. Once you really take care of those, then it's good. The other thing also is make sure you're stabilizing correctly, like with everything, right? You know, if you can't have the puckering, you can't have the fabric shifting when it's in the hoop, because it can happen. You need to make sure you have your stuff solid. So, you know, it takes some time. When you have items like this that have the small fonts, what you need to do is always test stitch your designs. I'm serious. A lot of people, they don't want to do it. They think it's too time consuming and stuff like that. Well, you guys that have watched me for quite some time know about the Champion Dog logo that I worked on. 9 test stitches, but you know what? Got it done right at the end. I mean, it was just fabulous. So to me, it was like a success. All right. So you got to make sure that you test stitch, especially if you are working on something that you're not too sure about, brand new design and everything. You want to make sure that you test stitch that. Okay. All right. So now we're moving on to number 8, guys. Okay. So let me do a recap of the 7 items that I got on my list over here that I worked on. You know, I got the hats, we got the leather, we got the towels. Okay. Then we got the thin and the stretchy fabrics. All right. We got the denim. All right. And the heavy canvas. Okay. We even just talked about the sheer items, you know, like netting and stuff like that. We talked about that. And we just finished talking about the tiny fonts and the details of certain designs. Okay. Now we're moving on to number 8, 3D puff embroidery. Okay. Now at one time, and it's not even at one time, I still say people love their 3D puff embroidery, because if you were to walk into Lids and you see all those hats and everything, you know, you see for a fact that everybody, okay, loves their 3D puff embroidery on hats mixed together with different types of designs and everything, right? So, you know, 3D puff, very, very popular. But there is a catch to it, okay? First of all, there the foam. The foam comes in different sizes, okay? Some come very, very thick, some come very thin. And there is a difference in those sizes, and the difference in those sizes can affect how the embroidery is going to look, because it also depends on the design that you are using. All right. You have to have that conversation with the digitizer. You got to let them know the thickness of that foam that you're using, because when they are digitizing the design, remember the stitches are supposed to go. Let's make believe this is the foam. Let's make believe this is the foam. Okay. The stitches go over the foam, right? So as the stitches go over the foam, okay, they're supposed to lay on the foam and make it nice and tight and look secure, right? If you are using a foam that is pretty thin, and then you use a 3D design that requires a thicker foam, you're going to have space on the loop and the foam itself. All right. Remember, the foam doesn't grow. Okay. It doesn't like, grow. The foam is the foam. The size is the size. All right. So you got to make sure that the design that you use has the appropriate hoop measurement that's for the actual foam that you are using. The same goes with vice versa. Let's say you have a very thick foam and the digitizer created the loops for thin foam. That may not look good either, okay? Because you're going to have the foam that's so thick, it might bleed through the hoops of the thread. And there you're going to see a bunch of foam sticking out. I know some people, what they do is they take a heat gun and they smooth it out. That might work. Because I've done it. I take it. Sometimes I see little puckering of white foam going through some of my embroidery. And if I take a heat gun, it'll kind of tame it a little bit. But you're talking about little bit here and there. But it could really come out jacked up. So if it comes out really jacked up, I'm sorry, a heat gun is not going to help you. Okay. So you got to understand that designs for 3D foam are sometimes developed for different types of material, right? Some is for 3 millimeters, some is for 5 millimeter. So it really depends on the size of your foam. So be very conscientious of that. The other thing that I tell people is not all embroidery is for everything. All right. I see a lot of times people will sometimes do embroidery on items that are getting washed a lot, getting, and dried and everything. You can do it, but this is the thing. I always tell people, be careful when it comes to this stuff, because you got to remember, embroidery. Your customer does not. Okay. They're coming to you because they just want some kind of a finished product. But they're not thinking about, how do I wash it? How do I care for it? And stuff like that. So when you embroider something and you wash it and you dry it and stuff, you take it out of the dryer. If you see that it's all squashed and everything like that, you are experienced enough that you know how to fix that, right? So you're like, oh, okay, it's a little crushy, whatever. All right, that's fine. No biggie. Let me stretch it out. Let me smooth it out. Let me put a towel over it and then iron it or stuff, or, put a towel over it, put it on a heat press for a couple of seconds, and it'll flatten out my embroidery, right? Or sometimes enough, okay, that I'm not supposed to be putting that in high heat and stuff. So you know how to care for your items. A lot of times what happens is people assume that the customers know how to care for their items, and they do not, which is why I tell people, especially if you are in the business of doing embroidery, make sure you provide care instructions. Okay. How to care for their embroidery. All right. So important. All right. Because what's going to happen is they're going to buy it. They're going to wash it. they're going to dry it. They're probably not going to dry it correctly, and they may not even wash it correctly. Okay. I know of people at times that have taken their embroidery, and then what they do is they throw it in the washing machine and they put it in with their bras. And some bras have hooks behind, they hook on the back, depending on the style of bra that you get, right? Or you can have another item in your washing machine that has a hook. And then, you got to remember the washing machine is twirling all these clothes around in the washing machine, right? And it's twirling it around and stuff. And then before you know it, that hook can get on one of the threads of the embroidery design, and then it'll pull. And then before you know it, now you just ruined the embroidery, right? So people sometimes don't think of that. Okay. They don't understand that. And then, it gets ruined. And of course, they're going to get upset. Sometimes they'll take it out of the washing machine. They put it in the dryer. They put it on high. And then when it comes out, it's all crumbled up. They don't know how to fix it. So there's so many things that you have to think about. So 3D puff embroidery is kind of like, to me, I call it like an animal on itself. There are certain uses where I would recommend using it. Like I would do it on a jean jacket. Okay. I could see that on a jean jacket. That would look really nice on a jean jacket. People do it on hats all the time. I like it on hats. I've seen it on scarves. People have put little logo and stuff, and then they've done their little scarves on there. I've seen that as well. I see people do it on like book bags and stuff like that, backpacks. They do 3D embroidery as well. I think that's cool. I have seen people do it on t-shirts. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't think I've heard anybody complain about it, but I don't know. And let me tell you why I feel about a certain way about that. Okay. This is the other thing that I say people need to think about when they're creating stuff. Think about how the customer feels when they have the item on. Okay. How is it going to look? Of course, when you embroider something and you take it off the machine and you hold it up and you look at it, it's going to look beautiful, right? However, though, what happens when that shirt gets on that person? Okay. Is it going to, fall right? Is it going to look nice when they're wearing it, right? Also, how comfortable is it going to be? Okay, is it going to be a comfortable wear? Because I'll tell you, comfort to me is important. It really is. I mean, I remember going to work and wearing all those monkey suits, all those suits and everything like that. And you would wear those girdles to suck it all in and everything. I couldn't wait to get home so that I could just let that thing breathe, I mean, it's just like, whew, so comfort. I look cute, but I couldn't breathe. I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't wait to go home just to take the suit off. All right. Comfort to me means everything. So it's like, even when I wear my sweatshirts, t-shirts, material is important to me. I like it to feel soft. I like it to feel, it's stretchy, comfortable. I don't like the stiffness. I don't like anything stiff. So when I look at 3D embroidery on like a t-shirt and stuff like that, I mean, it's like, I feel like that 3D foam could be uncomfortable. I don't know. It's just me, maybe to some people they're okay with wearing it. I don't know. But I know for me, when I look at it, I'm like, it can't be comfortable. And I'm like, not for me. So what I usually like to do is I like to see it on jackets. I like to see it on backpacks. I like to see it on hats. Scarves is something that if it has to be on clothing, I don't see anything wrong with a scarf. A scarf just wraps around your neck, and usually it would be the end of the scarf that has the embroidery on it. So I could see that as something that I could wear, but wearing it on like a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, it ain't my cup of tea. I just don't like it. I like room. I like to be comfortable. So to me, I it's not, just seeing it to me doesn't scream comfort. So I don't know. But it had each his own, right? Each his own. I don't know. All right. So the other thing, number 9. Moving on, because I think I beat 3D embroidery to death. All right, number 9 is quilt sandwiches. Okay. Finished quilts. As you guys saw, I did a boo-boo on my cousin's quilt. All right. First, that was my very first quilt, and embroidered the end. And I learned real quick that you really got to pay attention to the sizing of your embroidery and where your quilt, where the quilt ends, because you have to put the binding. Okay. Totally forgot about the space required by the binding. So when I embroidered it, beautiful embroidery, I was so happy. And let me tell you, it took me a long time just to embroider that little corner. But then after I embroidered it and I went to put the binding, I said, oh, shoot, I messed up. Now the binding's going over the embroidery, or some of the embroidery, and I didn't want that. So what I ended up doing was I serged the quilt on the ends. And I was so pissed at myself because I really wanted to bind the quilt. But I was like, that's fine. I'll just have to bind the next quilt that I make. But, quilting, incorporating embroidery to quilting, I think is awesome, because it is a really great way to take something that you made and put a little dedication to a friend and a family member. I think that is like so cute and awesome, and I loved it. So I screwed up on that, but you really had to make sure that you pay attention to where you're embroidering. And because when you're embroidering a quilt, you're not embroidering the quilt at the end. You're kind of in the middle of the process, right? You have your quilt, and then the quilt has all this batting inside of it. So when you embroider it, you want to embroider it before you close that sandwich shut, because what will happen is the back of the embroidery is going to show on the other side. So you don't want that. So, that can be kind of tricky too, because you got to make sure that you're hooping that quilt correctly and that it's a solid, tight hoop, because you're hooping layers of fabric. You're not just hooping your fabric and stabilizer. You're hooping your fabric, you're hooping your batting, and then you're hooping your stabilizer. So you can have fabric shift happening in there. So run that machine slow. That's what I did. I ran the machine slow. The embroidery came out beautiful. However, though, I screwed up because I didn't pay attention to the size, and the embroidery went too close to the end of the quilt. So I could not put my binding on. So that kind of pissed me off. So I was like, that's okay. So I had to serge. So yeah. But quilt sandwiches are pretty tricky, but they are actually fun. And to me, it is like, I just love it, because I think that it's like, it makes the quilt so special and unique. And I just love that. I really, truly do. So the 10th item that I have is like specialty items. You're going to have people come to you to embroider some items that are really wild. Okay. They're going to come with shoes. Okay. I don't know if any of you guys have embroidered shoes. I haven't. Well, no, that's not true. I've embroidered slippers. I've done slippers. Now, I will tell you this. Those items can be pretty tricky because of the hooping. All right. It can really, really be tricky. Like, and there are different ways that you can hoop certain things. Like we have something called reverse hooping. Okay. And I did a video on that on Christmas stockings and doing reverse hooping on that. You can do reverse hooping on Christmas stockings, and those are usually because the area of embroidery, the area is tight and you have the arm of the machine. And sometimes the arm can't get into that tight area. Or if it does get in, there's not enough flexibility for the item itself to move freely for the machine to embroider. And when you don't have that, you have a lot of risk, because then what can happen is the fabric can shift on you. And if the fabric shifts, it's not going to work. It's going to look bad. Okay. Because that's what's going to happen is you're going to have a J and then you're going to have the E somewhere else. And the stitches aren't going to match and stuff. So you can end up with a mess. So sometimes for certain items, there are different ways that you can hoop things. You can float them. You can do reverse stitching. Or sometimes you can do multiple hoopings, okay? But those really take a very long time to do. So I really honestly shy away from those things. I mean, it's really tight areas and stuff, and it can really be challenging. When it comes to embroidering stuff like that, I usually, if I have something like that I find that is very challenging, I'll try it for myself. I really don't do it with a customer because I don't want to take the chance. Okay. Because sometimes those sneakers did not cost like a buck or two. All right. Those sneakers probably cost like $30, $40, $50. All right. And some cases, the way prices are going now, they're probably $100. But I've heard of sneakers being more than that too. So, I just don't sit here. I don't like to if I take something, it's because I know I can embroider it. If I see something that's going to be too tricky, or it's just I don't feel comfortable, I won't do it. I will do it if it's like for me or my mom, my sister, something like that. Because what they're gonna do, they're gonna stop talking to me for 2 days. If I mess it up, so what? They'll talk to me on the third day. So I mean, it's different when you're dealing with customer items, and stuff. So it's kind of like I don't know. It's just I don't like to do that because I don't want to lose the confidence of the customer. That's important to me. I want the customer to feel like if Jeanette accepts it, Jeanette got it, she knows what she's doing and stuff like that. And that's usually how I like to handle things. So I don't know. It's just me. That's just how I am and stuff. All right, guys. So 9 o'clock, right on the out. I'm getting better. I am getting better at this. I am sticking to the topic because remember how back in the day I used to go over an hour and stuff, and I used to like drive people crazy. And so I see my sisters asking, "Where's Mello?" Well, Mello is here. Mello. Where's my Mello? Got the light? Look at the light. Oh, I think he's out with Fred. I don't think he's here. He was here earlier today, guys. He was outside with Fred a lot. And so, because I did have a customer here, and it's a big order that she has and stuff, and I wanted to make sure that I got the order right and everything, and that she was happy with all the stuff that was gonna happen and everything. So I got big order behind me. So I'll be working on that all day tomorrow. I'm hoping to have it done for her by tomorrow. And so I think I should, because it's just names. It's just names on beach towels. So I should be able to do all of them tomorrow. It's 20, I think it's 25, 26. I gotta count them again and stuff like that. But yeah, he was at the opening. Yeah, I don't know where Mello. Oh, hey, I hear him. Where are you, boo? But they all asking about you. Where's the star? Okay, here you go. You want to say hi, Papa? You want to say hi? Oh, look at that. There's Mello. Mellow Willow. He's so cute. Yeah. Tomorrow he goes to the groomer, guys, so he can get all handsome, right? You're gonna get all handsome tomorrow. So tomorrow, get up early in the morning because you go at 8:30. Yes, you do. And you're gonna get all handsome looking and everything. And he kind of needs it too because he's been rolling all over the place and stuff and everything. And today I had a little bit of a scare with him, just so you guys know. I fed him this morning, and then when I walked by the garbage can, I saw a label for Advil right by the garbage can. So I kind of panicked because Mello is a counter surfer. You got to watch him because he's a little sneaky and stuff like that. So I was like thinking, oh my God, did he get that Advil? And then I was like, oh, so I was on the phone with Poison Control and everything because I asked Fred. And he said, no, I didn't take Advil. Then Carlito walks in and I was like, oh my God, he took, I think Mello had Advil, and he goes, no, Mello didn't have Advil. I took the Advil. So I was like, oh, thank God. So so it was a false alarm, thank goodness. But I was ready to grab him and take him to the emergency vet and everything because y'all know how I love my dog, It would not have been good. Because everything I Googled and even the poison center told me that no, those types of medicines can really very bad for their kidney, their liver. And I thought I was going to have to run to the emergency room with him. And oh my goodness, what would we have done, Mello? What would we have done? Oh, Mommy would have paid that bill. Anything for you. You got that right. I would have had to do a lot of embroidery work to pay that bill, but I would have did it. That's for sure. And so yeah, we had a really interesting day today. So I had that this morning, and then poor Carlito was driving, and one of his tires blew on his car. So, but thankfully he's fine, and he's so lucky. His tire blew right when he was by Auto and Tire Place, so it was like, what luck. So when his tire blew, he was able to take it over there and call me, and I was able to help him out, and he's got 4 brand new tires. So now he's hustling, working, because he's thankfully he has saved up most of the money for the tires. He was just short a little bit, and I was able to help him out with that. So now he's good. So yeah, interesting day today. It was nonstop today. So, but it's all good. It's all good in the neighborhood. What can I say? All right, guys. So what I am going to do now that I've already mentioned, let me do the top 10 again. Okay, I'm going to read them off. I talked about the hats. That was number 1. I talked about the leather and vinyl and stuff like that. That was number 2. We talked about towels, which was number 3. Thin, stretchy strap fabrics was number 4. Denim and canvas, number 5. Okay. 6 was sheer fabrics. We got small. Hold on. Did I got something here? Okay. We got small lettering and the small fonts and stuff. That was number 7. 3D puff embroidering was number 8. Number 9, we're talking about quilt sandwiches because it can get really tricky, guys, because remember, you got the cloth, the batting, and then the backing. So, there's a lot of fabric that's going on in there. And then the specialty items where people really come up to you with the off-the-wall stuff where it's like shoes and items that have really little openings. I've even had people come to me with little shirts with little bitty pockets, and then they want the initial on the pocket. Sometimes you can embroider it, but sometimes you just got to do different things, right? You got to either hoop it differently. Sometimes you got to undo the seams and then stitch it back on and stuff like that. So sometimes things get a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? So just got to, it's A lot of stuff you gotta do, you know. So I am gonna go down the chat, guys, and I want to say hi to you guys. And hey, put down in there what has been like the craziest thing, the toughest thing that you've ever had that you had to do embroidering on. Like what, you know, what is the craziest? Because I know with me personally, let me see what has been the craziest. Once, well, I did remember you guys remember when I messed up on those backpacks, and man, that was a $2,000 mistake on my back. Woo, that drove me crazy. Look at that. Mello just looked back and stared at me, going, $2,000. Yes, yes. Remember that, Mello? Woo, mommy was like, but that's okay. It was that. Oh, the craziest thing was someone bought me a backpack, and apparently there's a brand name called Timo or something like that. I think it's Tumi, something like that. Tumo or something like that. Timi or something. I don't know. Well, anyway, they bought the backpack in. I embroidered it, and I didn't think anything of it. But then I looked it up, and I was like, oh my God, that was a $550 backpack. I was like, well, if I would have knew that ahead of time, I would have been like, no. But thank goodness everything came out fine. Everything came out okay and stuff. But yeah, I think that has been the tough. For me, it's always been the hats. Hate them. I've had a lot of people come to me, ask me for hats. I'll do beanies. Beanies, no problem. But I will tell you, I learned real quick with the beanies. You better make sure you print out that template and tape it on the hat and then hoop it, because there have been times when I have embroidered the beanies and then the logo is upside down. So I'm like, ooh, that didn't work very well. So, you know, sometimes you just got to be real careful and stuff. So, yeah, but that has been my pet peeve, has always been the hats. And I got a feeling that once I get that job at Lids, I think that won't be a problem anymore, because then I would know exactly how to do the hats, how to hoop them and all that kind of stuff. So I'm still on their website looking for a job and stuff. I got a feeling that when kids go back to school, they go back to college and everything, maybe they'll be looking for somebody. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm going to be looking again, because I would love to work for them. That's for sure. All right, guys. So let's see who we got in the chat. How you doing, Cindy? How are you? I see Tina. Hey, Cindy. I meant Cynthia. Sorry, Cynthia. Hey, Sharon. How are you? How you doing? I see Robin. How are you? Hey, Peggy. How are you doing? Let's see. Iris, how you doing? Bernardino, how are you doing? Happy Friday to you as well. Hey, Miss Miller, how are you? How you doing? Hey, Marlene, Miss McFake, how are you doing? Eartha, how are you? And Bernardino, I've been turning my heat on at night and the AC in the AM. Hate to do it, but it's cold at night and hot and muggy during the day. Bernardino, I heard, my husband told me, well, it was really hot today. And he told me that the next couple of days are probably going to be in the 90s. So I'm kind of like, that's going to be interesting, right? Hey, Eartha, how you doing? How's it doing? Hey, crafty Puerto Rican, how you doing? And it is September, guys. So I don't know if you guys know, because I wanted to tell you guys. The end of September is the Sewing and Quilt Expo in Fredericksburg, Virginia. My mom is doing better. She's home. So the plan is still remaining that Nancy and my mom will be flying out here to Virginia. We will be in Fredericksburg, Virginia with the crafty Puerto Rican. Okay, so we're going to be there taking classes and everything. I am hoping that on Friday night we can all meet and have dinner. That would be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, so I will let you guys know as the time gets closer. The other thing I wanted to tell you guys also is I did the embroidery quilt shop at Susie's Quilt Shop. And the next time that I am going to be there will be in 2 weeks, if I remember correctly. Let me tell you right now, I'll tell you guys the date that I'm going to be doing it. And it's going to be the same time. If I remember correctly, it will be September 20th. Yes, September 20th at 10:30. I will be at Susie's Quilt Shop for the Embroidery Club. I think the topic that I am going to talk about this month is going to be towels. I think I want to touch that topic with towels. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be going to Walmart this weekend. I'm going to be buying different types of towels. And I'll probably just buy one towel, and then I'm just going to do a bunch of embroidery because I want to show samples of what a good selection of a font would be versus a bad selection, and to teach people the differences of what a knockdown stitch is and how a knockdown stitch can actually improve the appearance of the towel. I also want to show people how to do knockdown stitches and how to use embossed files. So I'm going to take my laptop with me so that way I can show how to do the design and everything. And then I figured what I will do for, I was going to do that for September. And then for October, I want to talk about applique. How to use it, when's the best time to use it, and how it's done. Because I know that there are a lot of people that have joined the club that is very, very new to machine embroidery. And they're going to have a lot of questions and stuff like that. So I want to be able to teach people that are new to machine embroidery and also people that have been doing embroidery for a long time. So, I think that's what I'm going to do. So this, what I plan on doing is I'm planning on doing the samples this weekend of the towels. And then I'm going to meet up with Susie this week because I want to, I know she has a projector. So I want to be able to use a projector so that folks can see the towel, and then I can use the projector so that I can show people how I actually do the different designs. So that way they can do them when they get home and everything, So, pretty excited about it. I have to tell you, I really am truly enjoying the embroidery club. I was really amazed at the turnout. I had a full house. It was really amazing. Everyone was so nice. And I was just like, oh, this is just so much fun. So not only do I love doing these embroidery happy hours with you guys, but I am really starting to fall in love with meeting people and teaching them as well in person. So I think that is like so super awesome. So so I'm pretty excited about that. So like I said, that will be again, September 20th. So if you guys are in the Northern Virginia area and you're interested, it's free. It doesn't cost anything. It's just the embroidery club, and it's at Susie's Quilt Shop in Manassas, Virginia. And I will post in our Facebook group, I will post the address and the time and everything so that you guys will know where it is. So, and then you guys can join if you want to and stuff. Also, the other thing I should mention to you guys, guys know that I do a gift exchange 2 times a year, right? I do the Christmas in July, and I'm also going to be doing it during the holidays. So it is a little too early right now to announce, when we're going to start the registration and everything like that. But registration will be probably next month sometime. Okay, so it'll probably be registration towards the end of October. That way everybody has November to create their gifts and mail them out the beginning of December. So that way we have a time where we can meet on, online, of course, and open out gifts and show off what we got. So just wanted to let you guys know that is definitely going to be happening. Okay. But so if you guys can make it at the Sewing Quilt, I know the Crafty Puerto Rican, Jenny, she will be there. I will be there. Nancy will be there. My mom will be there also, probably yelling at me, like she always does. But that's okay. She better be nice because she's going to be living with me for a little bit, So, so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be exciting and stuff. So, so let's see. Oh, Iris says that Jenny has her hooked on the pull and embroidery machine because I can only buy magnetic hoops. Oh my goodness. Everyone is loving those machines. Those machines have been they're really taking off. They really truly are. Um Hey Queen Mama, hat. I'm afraid to even attempt to use the hat hoop on the 1055X. Okay, Queen Mama, I am telling you, I know. But you know, this is one thing that I say. This is what I recommend that you do. Okay. Buy about 10, 15 hats. And I'm going to tell you right now, don't get attached to the hats. Okay. Don't show too much love because these are going to be your test hats. And you're going to have to bite the bullet, put that hat driver into the machine, hoop that hat, and start embroidering. What I would do is start with small successes. Okay. So, and what I mean by that is don't go crazy with a big design. Don't go crazy with a big design. Pick a letter, any letter. Pick your initial. Nice little initial in script or something like that. Take the hat, put the driver in, hoop it, and just embroider the initial. Just so that you could get the feel for it. Okay? And if it comes out great, got yourself a hat you can wear for yourself. Okay? Start small, then from a little initial, do a name. And then from a name, pick a design. Simple design. Don't get complex. Don't go crazy, okay? But simple. So if you start with small things, you can start becoming successful. Your confidence is going to start to build up. And then before you know it, when it gets to the hard stuff, you're going to be like, if anything, it's not gonna like, I don't know, how am I gonna say this? Okay. I just don't want you to like, you start with the hats, right? And you got yourself this complex design with 3Ds and details and all that kind of stuff and everything. And this is your first try at it. And then you put it in and then it doesn't come out right. And then you put the second hat, the third hat, and then you come frustrated. And then next thing you know, you're pissed off. And then you're like, I'm never going to do another hat in my life. That's what's going to happen. So don't do that to yourself. Start small, start simple, and build your stuff up there. And then when you get to the hard stuff, you're going to be okay because you already have a pretty good understanding of how to hoop that hat. You already kind of understand how the machine is working. Now you just got to work on the needles, the speed, the thread type, and all that kind of stuff. So, and if you're using 3D font, the foam and all that stuff and everything. Start small, get comfortable, and then you move, you grow. That's my advice to you, Queen Mama. That is how I would tackle that, because what you want to do is build your confidence and you want to learn your machine and know you're going to make mistakes. So like I said, buy 10, 15 hats. Buy cheap hats. They don't got to be expensive hats. Don't go out there buying the $15 hats and stuff. Get the hats that you go for the dollar store, $1.99 or something like that. It's just a hat. That's all you need. Just a regular hat, just to play around with the machine so you can get familiar with it and understand it. Once you start building your confidence, you'll be all right. You'll get there. You will get there. You'll probably be better than me. You never know. Because I mean, sometimes I still screw up a hat now and then, Hey, baby giant, how are you? How you doing? Hey, Allison, how are you doing? Let's see. Deidre, how are you? How you doing, girl? Let's see. Let's see. Going down. Eartha said, I had someone ask me to embroider the back of a swimsuit. I told them no because I didn't want to mess up 200. I would have said no too. Eartha, I would have said no too. This is the thing with the swimsuits, and this is the thing that people don't understand. Okay, swimsuits is so stretchy. Okay, it's in the water all the time. They're gonna wash it all the time. I would have said no too because I don't know. It's just me. It's just me. I always think about people gonna talk about you. They're gonna talk about you. I'm telling you, when they take that swimsuit out of the washer and the dryer, and then they find that the embroidery doesn't look as good as when they first got it, they're gonna talk. They're going to talk. And I know it. I don't blame you. I would have said no. Mm-mm. Someone needs to take one for the team and get the job at Liz so we can get some hat embroidery info. I'm gonna do that. I'll be the one. I'm gonna take it for the team. I'm telling you, Bernita, I am looking, and as soon as I see a spot open up, I'm putting in an application. And all I want to do is just work there for maybe like half a year, 6 months. And who knows? I'll probably love that job. I'll probably be like, I'm not quitting. I'm staying right here. I'll just tell them I'll just work on weekends and stuff like that, you know. But I'm gonna take it for the team, because I mean, to me, it's like it's perfect. I mean, it's a perfect way for me to learn. Perfect. So yes, Bernardino, I will take that. I will take that. McFace says she be watching every stitch on that $200. I know. BB Berman, how are you doing? Jeanette's putting an application in Liz. Now she's retired. You guys got that right. You guys think I'm joking. I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. I'm serious. Because I have been on their site looking. They don't have any openings by me. But that moment, and you know what I should do? You know, and I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to take a trip over there. I'm going to ask to talk to the manager. I'll introduce myself to them, and I'll just tell them I'm really, really interested. And just to let them know, I'm looking at your website and stuff like that. And I'll volunteer. I'll do it for free. But I know they probably can't allow me to do that. But I just, I'll probably do that just to just to see, because I would love to work there. I would love it. Let's see. The guys at Liz said, if you stream the front of the hats, you steam the front of the hats before and after the Richardson are easy to do. You know what, Cynthia? That is true, because I have seen other people talk about that, and they say that because the hat is tough. It's a tough hat. And I have seen people ruin a lot of hats. And so I guess what they do is they steam it. What happened, Pop? You okay? You had a bad dream? You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Look at that. Oh, boo boo. So, it's like I have seen people, boo boo. I'm sorry, boo boo. It's okay. So yeah, I have seen people talk about steaming the hats. See, and that's the thing too. There are a lot of tricks in that. So you know what? I'm going to go over there, and I'm also going to talk to them also, because I want to see what type of steamer do you use? Like, do they have like a machine that they steam it and all that stuff? I would love to just sit there and watch them embroider. Just look. And I'll probably ask them, do you mind if I stalk you? If I could stalk you for a day or two just to see you embroider those machines and stuff? They'll probably call cops on me and stuff. They'll be like, we got a stalker over here. I don't know. Maybe I'll stalk them when Nancy visits and stuff. Let's see. Let's see. I recently learned to do puff embroidery on caps. I've done the puff embroidery on caps. I have done it, and they're fun to do. But like I said, you really got to know what you're doing and stuff. You do. Hey, Nancy, how are you? I can't wait to see you at the end of this month and stuff. I'm really trying to get the house situated for Mom. Really, really am. But I'm gonna miss my sewing room and stuff. But I am going to do a video before I take it down to see what I can do and stuff. Hey, Gani, how are you doing? How are you? I know I probably jacked up your name. Ganny Joe. And Cindy said, I like doing the terry cloth towels, not in biz, just for gifts. They are fun to do. They are. They are fun to do. Hey, Mary. Hello, all from California. Such a treat for me to finally be able to join in again live. Thank you all. Very helpful happy hours. Oh, you're welcome, Mary. Thanks for joining. I'm glad you were able to come in and join us this Friday. Oh, Cynthia, the Melco rep showed me, but someone recently came by and we did it together. Oh, okay. Oh, Iris said, I don't like using WSS on terry. I'd rather use knockdown stitches. Yeah, same here. I would kind of prefer. It depends, Iris, on the font. Okay, it really does. It depends on the font, because what happens is sometimes the customer kind of likes a thin font, and if they like a thin font, then I'm kind of like, okay, you know. But my whole thing is, I would prefer to use the knockdown stitches for terry as well. But if you know, but if the font is really, really thick, okay, and I'm talking about a thick font, I'm not talking about a medium or small. You want the font to be thick enough that there's no way that the stitches can go through. But with that being said, also, when you pick your font, and even if you pick a thick font, pay attention to the letters, because sometimes the letter A, you know how the letter A has that little circle in it, or the letter B and the P. Sometimes a letter can have a little space in there that sometimes the towel can go through, and then it may not look good after the wash. So honestly, you know, knockdown stitches is really honestly the way to go. It really, really is. But not all customers like the knockdown stitches, because I have had customers that they don't want to pay the extra, but what they don't understand is knockdown stitches is what's going to make the item last. So I charge extra for knockdown stitches, because you're talking about it's longer to embroider. It takes more time in the machine to embroider. And, you know, I just don't, you know, if and it's a lot more thread, right? It's a lot more thread. So you're using more material. You're using a lot of material, and it takes a long time to embroider. So you have to charge for that, because I charge for my time. So, you know, that's just something that I just, you know, I agree with you. I prefer the knockdown stitches. I think it looks nicer, but the thing is that not all customers kind of like the knockdown stitches, because what they like to do is they just prefer to, you know, that I don't want to say that they, you know, you don't know people's budgets. You know, sometimes you don't know people's budgets. They can't afford it and stuff like that, you know, but just explain to the customer. That's what I usually tell people. Just explain to the customer so that they know what they're getting, and that they know what can happen if they don't care for the item properly. That's really what I like to do. Let's see. What is the current firmware on the Brother SC9? Okay, I don't have a 1500. I have a 1900, Susan, and I can turn it on. And let me see. I don't have. Hold on. Let me see. Let me turn it on, and maybe I could tell you right now. Okay. Hold on. Oh. I got version 111. That's the version that I have. I have version 111. Okay. I don't think they have a later version, because I checked the Brother website, unless they just did it recently and stuff. I did upgrade my 1055X though. That they have an upgrade on that. Nancy's getting excited. And I already know Nancy got a bunch of work for me to do for her. So, because she already kind of told me that there's a couple of things she wants embroidered. But I'm ready. I'm ready. That's okay. She could bring it on. and stuff. I am going to make sure that I don't take any orders while her and my mom are here, so that I can focus on them. But if a order comes for a good price, I'm going to put them both to work, So who needs sleep, right? Terry definitely needs knockdown. Yeah, and I agree. I mean, because I just feel like it will really make the item stable, It really does. And it's funny, guys, because this is, custom embroidery. It's a skill. It really, really, truly is. There's a lot of things that you have to know about the fabrics and all that kind of stuff. It's not, a lot of times people think, oh, you turn on the machine, that's it. No, it doesn't work that way. There's a lot of stuff that goes behind it and stuff. Let's see. Hey Rita, how are you? How you doing? Happy Friday. I embroidered a jean jacket and the design turned out great. I will take a picture and post it later. Oh, yes, please. I actually want to buy another jean jacket and I want to embroider it for myself as well and stuff. I think Jeanette is stressing, which was the last week's session. Is it okay to say no? Think what Jeanette is stressing, which was last week. It is okay to say no. Yes. Sometimes you got to say no. Sometimes you have to say no. Love my jean jacket. Almost 20,000 stitches. Oh, Debbie, I bet you looks nice. I bet you looks nice. That is cool. One thing that I would have never think of knockdown stitches for mesh. Great idea. Yeah, and did you see how beautiful it came out? It came out solid. I really love that. I feel like it gives it more stability. It really does. And I don't have the patience for big designs. A lot of time, and I will tell you this, I have had a lot of customers come to me. Hey, Susan, how you doing? I have had a lot of customers that come to me and they will, say, hey, I want the jacket. And they give me this big design. Nope. And the reason why I won't do it is because I don't want to sit there at my embroidery machine for 4 or 5 hours. I don't want to do it. I don't like big designs. I just won't do it. It's like, I'll tell you, I'll do an applique, but I won't do a dense design. Nope, won't do it. Yeah, everybody's birthday is always the same. The mom's birthday's on the 5th and Nancy's on the 15th. And so, I made some COVID mesh bags during. I've made so many of them. Everyone loved the embroidery. Yeah, I mean, these were our bags. And I always had them downstairs. And people loved them too. And it's like I loved it because it was like, as soon as you come in the door, just throw your mask in there. Throw the mask in there. These are the dirty ones. And then I would just throw them in the washing machine and dry it and stuff. And then I never lost them, because what I really liked about this idea was that, because the masks were small. So when you would wash everything, you could get lost in laundry and stuff. So, and it worked out great. Hey, TDB Marketing, how are you? Carol, those jumps small are so cute. Oh, thanks, Carol. These were actually a gift from Miss Banks. She gifted these to me, and I love them. I really love them. They work great. I use them all the time. She spoiled me. She really did. She spoiled me. And so she always got me something so cute, and so useful. I mean, she's a wealth of knowledge. She really is. Which you guys remind me, I got to give her a call, see how she's doing. Oh yeah, make sure you never cut with regular scissors. Embroidery scissors, or those surgical looking ones, are the best for cutting. Yes, you can always accidentally, cut the thread. And then my software allows me to change the color on each letter, even though when stitching out, I only use one color. No jump stitches. That's smart, Cindy. And if you have to sit and hit the heart faster than jump, that is a smart idea. That is a very, very smart idea. Love that idea. If you just change the colors, with the, yeah, because, you should be able to do that with all embroidery software. You can just take the each individual letter and you can just go ahead and change the colors and just have the same color on each of the spools. So you should be fine. Or on the machine. Flatbed, it should work too, right, Cindy? I don't know. Do you have a flatbed? I wonder if that works out of flatbed. I think it would. It should, because it should cut. Because it wants you to put in the next color spool. Very smart, Cindy. I love that idea. Love it, love it, love it. I think I'm gonna steal that idea from you. Hey, Becky, how are you? Hey, So Sweet from Australia. How are you doing? Welcome. Hey, Jenny. I had All Brands Economy and got off at 5:30, then had dinner with hubby. Susan, how you doing? How about bathing suit fabric? Bathing suit fabric is very, very stretchy and very tricky to embroider as well. And this is the other thing, Susan, about bathing suit fabric. What I don't like about that fabric, for me, I wouldn't embroider it, because sometimes you could look at a bathing suit and it's a certain way, right? When the person puts it on, that fabric stretches, right? Because it's supposed to fit tight. So it stretches. So when you embroider that, right? And then they put it on, they stretch it. I don't know how that embroidery is really going to look. Okay. I do know one thing. That section where you embroidered, that stretch is not going to be there anymore. So when they put it on, because that stretch isn't there, it might look a little funky. So you got to try it. Okay. So I don't recommend trying it on a $200 bathing suit. If you can get, I don't know, if you could find a bathing suit at a thrift store, something like that, where you only get it for like $2-3, something like that, right? Then I would give it a shot and try it. Okay. But that's just how I look at it. I look at it as, that's fabric that it's like how do I say it? It's like elastic, kind of very elasticy. So it's like when you look at a pair of pants and it has the elastic, it's on the hanger, right? Okay, and then you got the person that comes in and they put it on, and when they have the elastic, well, of course it stretches, right? So it's fabric and elastic inside, so it's not a big deal, right? Because it's going to stretch. But when you do embroidery, it's embroidery is not something that can stretch. Whatever you embroider is supposed to stay looking that way, and the fabric around it is going to stretch. So I just don't know how it's going to look. It may not look good. I don't. It would be something. This is what I would say. It would depend on what you're embroidering. Okay. And I don't know. I just, even if you were to just embroider like a little circle, or it would have to be a very small embroider font or something, like maybe a very little, it would be a tiny font or something like that I would probably, if I had to embroider it, I would just do a tiny font. And it would probably be at the area where there's less of a stretch when the person puts it on, right? Like probably by the waist. you know, the top of the waist or something. I don't know. That's how I would do it. You know, I'm just not too keen on that because I don't know how the embroidery would behave with that fabric. It's a little iffy. So it's something that you would really have to play with and stuff. Somebody's been writing down her notes. You go, Debbie. I wish I could stop the jump stitches with my brother machine. Make fate do what I think it was Cindy. Make fate do this, do what Cindy said, and that's how you're gonna stop. You got to change the color. But that's if you do fonts. Sometimes I don't think that might work with certain designs because sometimes you need to have that jump in there and stuff. So yeah, Libra season, I see. Let's see. Let's see. I'm going down. Hey, Carolyn. Okay, what size needle? Okay, the size needle that I use is 65.9, and the thread weight should be 60. Okay, Carolyn, that's so needle 65.9, and the thread weight should be 60 weight, not 40. 40 is thick, 60 is thinner, so that would work better. Here you go. Marlene said it. There you go. That's what you should use for the very small fonts. Okay. And it would really, really look good. Hey, Joyce, how you doing? Let's see. I would love to get one of your care instructions. I wonder what it says. Cindy, what I would do is Google care, how to care for embroidered items. Okay. Because not everybody embroiders the same, right? So what I would do is that's how I created mine. So I go on Google and look and just do a Google search for how to care for embroidered items. Google will give you a whole list of instructions. And then what you do is you go ahead and you just pick which ones would apply for most of the things that you embroider. And that's how you can create your own card. And what I do is I just go to Vistaprint. Okay. And I have all my cards created from there. And I just do like a postcard. And then I just in the front do a design with care instructions, whatever. And then in the back, I put all the instructions on how people should care for their items. That's how I do it. Let's see. Did I miss Pretty Eyes? Hey, Pretty Eyes, how you doing? How are you? Hey, Kathy, how are you? A 3D puff has to be digitized to give the extra thread to cover. Yes, it does. How do you care for 3D puff? I would Google that. From what Iris, from what a lot of people say, and you know what? Let me Google it now because that's a good question. Because the 3D puff that I do really doesn't go in the wash because a lot of times I do it on hats. Okay, I really don't do it on clothes and stuff like that. So, how to care for 3D puff embroidery. Oh, it didn't take. All right, so hold on. Then, because now I'm interested in what they actually say. Care instructions for 3D puff embroidery. There you go. articles. Let me see. Okay. Nope. Everybody just talks about how to do it. And what's the differences? That's weird. I wonder. Care. Oh, it said care and instructions. That's why. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can get that answer for you guys. Because I'm pretty how to clean it. No, okay. Wait a minute. I think I found something here. All right, here we go. All right. Here's your answer, Iris. To care for 3D puff embroidery, hand wash items in cold water with mild detergent, avoiding bleach and harsh scrubbing. Air dry garments to prevent damage to the foam. Never iron directly on the puff. When not in use, store puff items in a cool place, dry place to maintain the integrity of the raised design and prevent the foam from mishappening. So, with that being said, okay, this is what actually, Iris, I'm so glad that you asked that question, because now that we're looking at this, let's talk about this a little bit, all right? It says hand wash items in cold water with a mild detergent. Air dry the garments to prevent damage to the foam. So I'm going to tell you right now, what does that tell me? That tells me that if I do a t-shirt and I do 3D puff embroidery and I give it to a customer, do you honestly, let's be honest, guys, okay? Do you really think that person is going to hand wash that t-shirt or that sweatshirt and that they're going to use mild detergent and that they're going to air dry the garment? Okay. No, I don't think they're going to do that. Let's be honest. All right. Everybody lives busy lives. Okay. I know me personally, I take my colors and I put them together. I put my whites, I put them together, and then I throw it in the washing machine and I'm regular wash, and I throw in the washing machine again with the whites, regular wash. The only difference I do is I put bleach in them, and that's it. And then they all go in the dryer. So think about it. It says that air dry garments to prevent damage to the foam. Never iron directly on the puff, which means that the foam can be damaged. All right. If the foam can be damaged, that means that I would probably say a customer could take a shirt like that. And what are we talking about? After like maybe, I don't know, 4 washes, 5 washes, that shirt could be toast. Okay. Because they're not taking care of it the way they're supposed to take care of it. That foam is not meant to be washed like that and dried like that. So their shirt can really end up looking all jacked up after a while. So, it's not, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's just not, you would have to, if you were to do this for clothes for your customers, I would really recommend that you do care instructions just for 3D puff embroidery items that are going to be on shirts, t-shirts, and all that kind of stuff. Because I really don't see too many hats being thrown in washing machines and all that kind of stuff and everything, but I may want to give them a hat, one of those things too. So Iris, thank you so much for asking that, because that is that was an awesome question, and look at that, we learned something. Hey Bob, how you doing? The amount of thread the machine gives is determined by your tension rather than the design itself. Ah, I didn't know that. Okay. That's cool. All right. So I guess then, are you saying that it doesn't matter how thick and thin the foam is? I don't know if I'm understanding correctly. I'm wondering because I thought it was the thickness of the foam that could probably, uh, you know, mess up the design and stuff. But let me know if I'm wrong, Bob. Let me know and stuff. And Cindy, yep, my days of high heels are gone for me. I'm not doing the high heels. I do flats. I remember when I was young, I was wearing those high heels and those suits, but Hey Beth, how you doing? How are you? Okay, Bob, I've only done, my Melco, there are different settings to allow for the push pull. Hey Linda, I want to do edge to edge quilting with the embroidery machine. I always quilt to the edge. I want to start doing that. I want to use my embroidery machine for quilting and stuff. I really do. I have seen some nice designs and I purchased some quilting designs. So the next quilt that I sew, I want to take that quilt and actually do the embroidery quilt design on my 1090 my multi needle and stuff. Everybody asked for Melo. And he's right behind me sleeping. I think he's a little mad at me too. I gotta walk him tomorrow. So tomorrow I'll spend some special time with this little guy over here, even though he ain't that little. 85 pounds. He's big. He is my supervisor. He sure is. Oh my goodness. I always put binding over the embroidery. Yeah, see, I don't want to do that though, because I want the embroidery to really show. So I just serged it. I just said that's fine. I'll just serge it. Iris says she wants to do another one. Bernardino, I want to try embroidering my dog's collars. Those are pretty easy to do. I have a video on that in the channel. I embroidered one of Mello's leashes and stuff. He's got a new leash. I should embroider the new one too and stuff. Yeah. So everybody see everybody say hi to Mello. Let's see. Oh my God. Yeah, he's okay. He's fine. He's yeah, but Cardino's brave because it was like he just called me and he was like, tires busted and stuff. And then it was funny because I was like, oh, you should pull over. You shouldn't drive like that. But he was able to drive it like that because it was a blowout. His tire just blew out and stuff. So I was like, so I'm like, oh, well. But yeah, now he's got 4 new tires. So, and now he's out there doing his Instacart and everything and stuff. So I think Jeanette said blowout, but I got y'all laughing. No, it was a blowout. I think they call it a blowout when the tire like rips up, and stuff. But yeah. I thought it was a flat, but it really wasn't. It was it got all messed up. I embroidered my dog's name and son's phone number on his dog leash. I've also done karate belts. I did the same. And you know what? Before I got into embroidery, I used to have a boxer named Gage, and I used to order my leashes with the dog's name and my phone number on it. And then now I do embroidery. Now I can do my own. Ain't that something? Hey, Letisa, how are you? How you doing? Let's see. I'm going to try the steaming idea for the structure hats. Yeah, I'm going to try that too. But see, I want to see what they're using to steam those hats. So I'm going to have to do some research and stuff. And I think I might just stop at Liz and ask them and go, do you steam those hats? What do you use to steam those hats? And I want to see what machine they use. Because, you know, their hats are beautiful and they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. So, you know, oh, they have beautiful white at Sam's Club. I need to stop there. I wonder how much they were. Professor Jeanette. Yeah, I kind of like, I really love doing the embroidery club. Oh, sticky stabilizer on the luminaire. Yes, and a lot of times people do use sticky stabilizers for the hats and stuff. Hey Susan, you're becoming popular and famous, so don't forget about us. So happy for you, Jeanette. Oh, thank you. Hey Aisha, how you doing? I'm new to your channel. Welcome to the channel. Oh, I don't like to float on sticky. Harder for me to get the fabric straight in the hoop. I prefer to hoop and then pin the fabric not in the hoop. Yeah, everybody does different methods and stuff, you know. There's so many different ways to do stuff. You just got to do what works for you. It doesn't work for everybody. So, that's why I tell people, when you find that something works for you, because it's more simpler for you to like pin it, or if you use a sticky stabilizer, or sometimes people don't even like to float stuff. Sometimes people prefer to just hoop the item itself with the stabilizer, and that's okay. That's okay to do. Not a problem there. Let's see. Hat design should be simple to stitch from center out so it doesn't wrinkle. Yeah, and you got to make sure too, when you're doing it with the hats, that the designs are actually, like you said, that they're designed for the hat, because that way it'll come out. Hey Marsha, I probably bought 15 hats for 99 cents only store before they closed to learn on. See, that's the way to do it. Have a show and tell gone. It's amazing how what some people make is almost exciting part of the sewing and embroidery clubs. Yeah, it is. Marsha, can you set something to the chat shows where we can watch the replay? All the shows, all of the lives are available on the channel for you to watch them. When we watch the replay. Okay, I think the replay show if you're watching on a desktop. If you're watching the replay from a phone or an iPad, you probably won't see it and stuff. But I do select on it for you to be able to see that. And I'll check some of my lives to make sure that it's there. So I'll take a look at that, Marsha. Hey Naja, how are you doing? Welcome. Let's see. Can't imagine that chlorine is good for embroidery. Yeah. Marsha says the swimsuit stretch, embroidery doesn't. Yeah, but I just don't know how it would look. You know what I'm saying? Like the fabric around the embroidery, it may look a little puckery or something like that. I don't know. So it just depends, Like I said, it's just not something that I would do, Let's see. Yeah. The job openings. Can Can you teach name tags? Yeah, I think I have something on my channel on name tags. If not, then I'll just go ahead and I'll create a video on that, and I can teach that. I could probably even do it next Friday, and teach that as well, and stuff. Yeah, I mean, let me write that down because I have how to do name tags. That is really yeah, it's not hard to do and stuff. I could definitely teach that and stuff because a lot of people use name tags for different stuff. They use it to like put on their luggage and all that stuff and everything. So I could definitely do that. If you've seen the hat afterwards, it'll go back to the original shape. I guess it does. If that's what Liz does. Just a regular steamer. They love giving you the information. Oh, okay. How do you manage your space? I'm in a small space and I'm tiring cleaning it. Girl, you gotta do it. You got to do it. I have a space. Like right now, my space is fairly clean. However, though, I do have a lot of stuff behind me because I have a large order that I have to work on. So I have it it's in an order because there's different names with different font styles and different colors. So I have all those towels that I have to work on tomorrow. So but you have to be organized. You really got to be organized, and you got to keep, and I'm a neat person, especially when I'm working, because I feel that helps me with my process. I don't want to be in the middle of embroidery looking for scissors, looking for thread, looking for needles, or all that kind of stuff. Everything has its place, and I am in the habit of when I use something, I always put it back where it belongs. I also like to work on a clean place. I don't put items on floors. I'm not a big fan of that. And I think that's one of the things that the customers like about me is that they know that when they give me something for me to embroider, I respect their items because that's their items. So you're not going to see like a whole bunch of stuff on my floor. The only thing you're going to see on my floor is Mellow. Mellow loves to be on the floor, but I do not, I put it on a chair or I'll put it on the table and I work there. And I always like to have a clean place for me to work, and I like to focus and get the job done. But it is, you just have to make sure that you organize your area and that, it really helps. And this is the other thing too, Naja, when you have your space and you have everything in its proper area, you can better track your inventory. So you'll know when you're running low on thread or or running low on a colored thread, when when something's not working out, you'll know. You know what I'm saying? You'll know when I need more stabilizer, I need more cutaway, I need more tearaway, I need more pink thread, red thread, or I need this, or I need that. You'll know. You know what I'm saying? So it's just something that you just got to do. I know you get tired of it, but I get tired too, but you got to do it, because what happens is then you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get frustrated because then when you're embroidering, you're going to lose stuff. Everything's everywhere. And it's not a good feeling. I like it. I love feeling organized because that kind of helps me to really do well. When I have a lot of clutter, or I feel that it's clutter, or I feel that it's very disorganized, I don't like it. It's not a good feeling for me. Embroider with heat vinyl, heat transfer vinyl. You can embroider with heat transfer vinyl. I've done it. I have done it, and it works well in the wash and stuff like that. I mostly do fabrics though, but if a customer just wants that sparkle or something like that, I've done it. I've even added rhinestones to some of my embroidery as well. Can I update my Brother flatbed embroidery machine. If you are, you can update it to the latest software that they have. I do have a video on the channel, McFake, that shows you how to do that. Okay, to embroider it. But you have to go to the Brother website to see what version is the latest one. And if you need to update it, then I do have a video on the channel showing you how to update the Brother machine. Okay. Hey Angela, how you doing? Hello, Miss Jeanette. How do you remove the knockdown stitches to create an outline to make a patch? Okay. I did a video. I think I did a video on that. I'll have to do that. I'll have to show you guys how to do that. Remove knockdown stitches. To make patches. Okay. I will do a video on that. Okay. I got a whole list of videos I gotta do. Oh my God. I gotta get on it. But the thing is, I've been working on the orders, so I haven't been able to film and stuff. So I can do that. I'll show you guys how to do it. There and you know what? Sometimes you don't even need the knockdown stitches to do a patch. Okay. Sometimes you can go into the library and you can pick a shape. And you can use that shape to be the patch, the outline, and you can create a satin stitch and stuff. Let's see. Have you ever looked back in your notes and notice things you no longer recommend, either a product or a process? I did a video, Debbie, on my regrets. I did on my regret buys. That video I have done. And let me see if there were some things. Yeah, there were some things that I bought that I did regret. And in that video, it was like a bobbin winder. Another one that I kind of regret at that time was a riser. And then a couple of months passed by, and then I had an order where I had to use my riser. And then I did not regret that buy, because now I'm like, oh, thank God I bought that riser. So but I did do a video on the items that I regret buying. I did do that. Let's see. Debbie, what software you have and what are you trying to do? I think she's trying to do patches. Hey Brenda, how are you? How you doing? Let's see. Can't find subscribe. Let me see. Oh, okay. Beth said, I wouldn't do puff foam embroidery on a t-shirt. Customers will eventually dry it at one point, and maybe it could catch on fire and the threads and the foam shrink. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be, it's like I said, guys, when you do embroidery, don't just do the embroidery. Think of how that item is going to be used in the long term, because that is really going to help you. You don't want to do things just to do it. You don't. Debbie's, you can download the file on your USB from the computer and follow directions updated on the machine. I did do a video on it, though. I do have a video on it. Hi there. I followed your instructions on how to embroider a knit baby blanket, and it looks great. Thank you so much. Oh, Deborah, I'm so glad. Oh, that's cool. That is cool. Post a picture. I want to see it. I want to see how it came out. I need to clean as I go. I do a magnetic tray where I can easily access my metal objects, and I need to throw away things after I use them and store the fabric and threads back in their spot. That's what I do too. I always clean as I go. I clean as I go. Carol said there are so many videos to make for us. How do you even have time to be able to work in a regular job. Happy retirement. I know. Well, Carol, I will tell you though, I am retired now, so I will be able to do it. But the thing is, now the orders are coming in, and you know, as you guys know, I mean, I don't like to just do videos to do videos. When I do a video, it's because I want to teach you guys something new, right? So I don't just want to like do, hey, how to do a kitchen towel. And then here we go doing another kitchen towel. And then we're doing another kitchen towel. And the next thing you know, I got 10 videos on doing kitchen towels. I already taught you once. So I kind of want the channel to be like where you can search. And then when you search for a certain topic, you get that video for that topic, and I show you guys how to do it. So it's like I like to do it on different things to teach you guys. So I don't want to just do videos just to do videos. I want them to be of value and stuff. And I want you guys to be able to use the channel as a library so that you guys can do, just go on the channel, search for what you need, and then find the video to help you with that. That's how I actually like to do it. That's why, like right now, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I got 19 things that are new that I haven't done on the channel before that I want to teach you guys. So, I have to start filming some of this stuff. But the thing is, when I have customer orders, sometimes that, of course, that has to take preference because, that's where I make my money. So, and a lot of times my customers, they don't just come with one stuff. Like the order behind me is 20, I think it's 26 towels that I have. I have to count and I have to write up the invoice for the customer and everything. So it's like, it's a huge order. I usually deal with a lot of bulk orders. So when the orders come in, I have to usually they take the whole day. And I ain't gonna lie, when I'm done with a bulk order, I am a little tired, and I do like to go and get mellow and walk around my neighborhood and just relax and breathe and spend time with Fred and stuff. And I try to spend time with Carl. Sometimes I'm not a cool mom, so I gotta try to catch him while I can, because he tries to sneak away because it gets to the age where you're not cool to hang out with, but it's like I love embroidery, but you gotta balance, right? So it was harder for me to balance back then when I was working full time, but now that I'm retired, it's a little easier for me to balance. But the thing is, when I get these bulk orders, I have these machines running all the time. And I really have to focus on the bulk order. So I have to, because I don't want to make any mistakes or anything like that. So I have to always double, triple, quadruple check myself to make sure I have the right thread, the right needle, the right color and everything like that. And that I can embroider it and stuff. So yeah, but it's a lot. Oh, I'll post a pic. Oh, yes, because I would love to see it, Deborah. I really would. Do you have in the hoop videos? In the hoop videos, I do not have. And I'm gonna tell you, Cindy, I'm not gonna say I hate in the hoop. My sister tell you I have a problem with in the hoop, okay? Because I have tried doing in the hoop projects with her. Her project comes out great. Mine looks like it's all jacked up. And she always tells me, you don't follow directions. So, because there's a lot of reading. And I'm like, I'm a reader. So it's like, you got to print out all this stuff, the instructions and all that stuff. So I have done some, but I haven't done a lot because it's not really like my favorite thing. And I've even bought in the hoop files, but I have not, I haven't really done much with it because sometimes I do get frustrated with all the reading and all that stuff. So yeah. Can you do a video on the best place to find embroidery designs and fonts, your favorite places to shop designs? I have done that though, McFay, but I can do that again. But here's a little tip for you, okay? If you go on inbrilliance.com, on the left-hand side of the screen, look for the section that says BX Designers. Click on that. And when you click on that, you're going to see a whole list of places, websites where you could buy embroidery designs. Okay. That is really what I tell people is the best kept secret. Okay. I tell them you don't have to own the software. You don't have to own, if you guys use something else, that's fine. But just go to embrilliance.com, look on the left, okay, and you're going to see something that says BX Designers. And when you click on that, you're going to see a whole lot of different websites. That is really the best place to go, you know, and stuff. I am thankful I started watching you in your early days. Oh, thanks. Appreciate that. Bernardino said, I'm with you. I'm more of a doer than a follower or reader. I'm telling you, I am just not the in the hoop type of girl. You show me, I mean, this is the thing. When I printed out those directions and I saw that the directions were like more than 5 pages, I was like, oh, read all that. You gotta read all that, you know? And then what I'll do is, yes, like Eartha said, I will start looking for a video to show me how to do it, and that way I could do it, because I'm just not good. I'm telling you. Nancy does really good at that. I don't. I remember Jeanette brought her car. But the car went. The Tesla, the thing. Oh. Well, I do have a video of that too. I have a video when I went to pick up my car. That's a fun video to watch too and stuff. Well, guys, it is late. It is 10:30, so I am going to call it the night. Well, it's really 10:17, but I'm going to call it the night because I need to get my notes together because I need to send an invoice out to my customer. And then tomorrow morning, got to get up early. I got to take Mello to the groomer. And then as Mello is in the groomer, I'm going to rush home. And while he is getting all handsome, good looking, and all that kind of stuff, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be working on this order. And my goal is to have it done by the end of tomorrow. So hopefully I can have that done. And then I have other orders that I got waiting for me to do too. So I want to try to get this order done and another order that I have. And yeah, and just get the stuff done. And I do have videos, guys. I know I have to start posting more videos for you guys. I have ideas out there. It's just that I just haven't had the moment to do it. And I do want to post a video of the sewing room and how I have it set up now. I am going to be changing up my layout again because my mom is going to come and stay with me for quite some time. So I'm going to have to give up my sewing room upstairs because I want to make that for her so that she has her own private space. So when she visits me, because she's going to be with me for a while. So I want her to be comfortable and stuff while she's here. So, you know, but I do want to videotape it so that you guys can see what I ended up with. And then when I move it to the new space, I guess I'll videotape it again and so that you guys can see how it ended up being. So anyway, so guys, I will talk to you. Yes, I was talking about, oh yes, I was talking, the Tesla. I was thinking, what a beautiful car. Oh, for all you do. Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was a big accomplishment for me. I saved really hard for that car. I really did. And I still drive it, still love it. It's my favorite. All right, guys. So I am going to call it the night. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you found the information that I shared with you useful. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. New to my channel, please consider subscribing. And I will see you guys next Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy the weather out there and just have fun sewing and have fun embroidering. So I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night. Bye.